Hi and hi and welcome to the Basic and Bitter podcast.
Said it backwards.
Yeah. Fuck.
Okay.
Bitter and Basic. Okay. Hey guys, you're listening to the Bitter and Basic podcast with Katie.
And Alex, where we discuss being in an in-between generation.
But this week on our podcast, we have Dylan Trevino, a senior.
What's up, guys?
What's up, G?
So you're a senior at Tech, CMI major, right?
Yes, yes.
Creative Media Industries.
Yeah, it's a really nice major. I actually didn't know what I wanted to be when I came to college at Tech, so it was kind of last minute, and I fell in love with it. So here I am, senior.
Yeah, relatable. That's me also.
Yeah,
I didn't know what to do.
Me too, for
Yeah.
sure. I transferred here with trying to be a kinesiology major.
Oh, and
Yeah.
did you switch, right?
Yeah, this is not kinesiology at all.
Yeah, it really be like
Anatomy.
that sometimes.
Anatomy was not my friend at all. I failed it twice, but then I passed the third time. Shout out to me.
Hey, third time's a charm.
Yeah, honestly. But man, you were telling us about your story like 3 weeks ago, right? And we were just kind of like amazed at the fact that, you had your own dreams and stuff like that. And tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, well, I went to high school in Tahoka, and it's a small little 2A school, and I was a big sports guy. I sound like a has-been, but
No.
Hey, it's all good, man.
But I worked my butt off. I wanted to go to college, play football, or any other sport that would take me. Because I played basketball and did track also. Toward the end of my senior year, my coach brings me in and he says, "Hey, I have 2 full ride scholarships and then 1 half scholarship to go play football." And of course, they weren't Texas Tech or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
They were like D2, D3 schools. One of them was Texas A&M, and the other one was Wayland. I forgot what the third one was. And he told me, he was like, "Do you want to go play football? I have your highlight tape and everything already set up for you. Like, I know you can go, pretty far. And I just want to ask you before I go ahead and send them in. I just need to know that you're interested." And I told him, I was like, "Coach, I'm going to have to go home and talk it out with my mom."
Mm-hmm.
So I went home, and, my backstory, a little quick, some information on my backstory. My dad was never there. Just my mom raising 4 kids on her own. And I was the baby, and, she was working 2 to 3 jobs, sometimes even 4, just trying to get by, So when I went to high school, all the other kids kind of graduated and kind of went on to doing their own thing. They didn't go to college or anything like that. But I decided that I was going to work my butt off and go to college and, try to make something out of myself,
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a statistic.
Yeah.
Especially, my mom being a single mother, it's odds aren't really that high for me.
Yeah.
So I talked to my mom. I was like, "Do you think, I should go?" She's like, go play football. It's what you want to do.
It's your
You
dream,
love
man,
it.
yeah.
But I know she just wanted. I knew she just wanted to tell me, what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
We were struggling with bills.
Yeah.
Working 3 to 4 jobs, and I know I needed to help her. So I told mom, I was like, "Well, that same day I got scholarships academically to go to school, to some small, community colleges." I was like, "What if I just go to South Plains Community College for free, and work hard in GPA, and then try to work my way to go to Tech for free,
Yeah.
And she was like, "Mijo, like, that's all up to you, like I'm gonna be working 3 or 4 jobs, and if you do decide to do that way and decide to work, that's gonna help me out." So I, spent the weekend thinking about it, and then, my mom's worked her whole life.
Yeah.
She's her mom left her family when she was really young, so she had to, go straight to work after school. That's all she knows is working.
Yeah, it wasn't an option for her. Like, she had to go to school. I mean,
Yeah.
go to work, sorry.
Yeah, it was not an option for her.
Yeah.
She had to.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, Mom, like, I told her, I'm gonna deny these scholarships, go academically, go to SBC and go there academically, go for free, and I did. And she was a little upset because she knew I wanted to go play football, but I knew I needed to work and bring in some income to help her out.
Yeah, for sure.
And it worked out well. I went to SBC. I had my GPA at 4.0 and got to go to Tech for free. So it's been really good. I'm about to graduate in December, and it's worked out well for us, So
That's good, man. Like, if you were to go play college ball, like, do you think your life would be totally different than what it is now?
I mean, yeah, I think so. There's so much different variables, like if you go play college ball, all your time is into college, that program. You're part of the team, you live with the team, you eat with the team, you're all about the team. So, I mean, I know some college athletes that do work, and go to school, and sometimes the grades suffer from it,
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't. It just depends on the situation, what kind of job they have. Everybody's different. So if I did, decide to go, pursue football, who's to say what would have happened,
Yeah.
what kind of person would I be now? Would I still be doing good in school, focusing all my energy into academics and into sports? Who's to say? But I will say that, academic athletes on the collegiate level, that balance both school and, because football's work.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's a passion. You're passionate about it. It's time to work, and that's, I have so much respect for all the, collegiate athletes that balance both school and work, and even have maybe a little part-time job on the side. I have so much respect. I couldn't do it. I had to focus academically on what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So, who's to say what would have happened?
I was just gonna ask, what advice would you give to someone in a similar position, or even like yourself, like at 18 years old or whatever, like making the decision again, knowing what you know now, like what would you kind of like tell yourself just to kind of like get through it or like make the decision easier?
I would say don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid of, sacrifice. Don't be afraid of success, I decided, like no matter what, if I played football or didn't, I was going to get my degree and go from there. So don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid of success. Don't be afraid, of anything. Just keep moving forward. And if things happen along the way, just, keep your chin, keep pushing, and keep pushing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's awesome, Dylan. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Oh yeah, no
appreciate
problem.
it,
Thank y'all so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes,
No,
sir.
of course. Yes, thank you. Okay, cool. So we just heard from Dylan, who chose to go to college over his passion, right? He wanted to pursue a career in football, or at least follow that through, and he chose to go to college instead to help support his mom, which is awesome. So yeah, college is not for everyone though. Now we're going to hear from Devin Allen, who is currently the Systems Support Specialist at Alliance Credit Union, and you're pursuing a career in information technology, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Go. You take it. Obviously, I'm awful. You go ahead. Take it from here. Tell us a little bit just about, I guess, your story. How you, I guess, chose to kind of quit college or make the shift.
Well, I do have a little bit of college experience.
Yeah, of
I went to South Plains College and got an Associate Applied Science in Computer Information Systems. But then, of course, bills start showing up, and then you got to make a payment. So you start working, and then it's hard to balance that college and work life. And so it just, as time went on, it just became less and less important and feasible for me to continue going towards my bachelor's degree. And then kind of as time went on, I started feeling more and more that it wasn't as necessary. And of course, that really depends on what kind of field you're in.
Definitely.
There's certain things that probably like healthcare and stuff like that where your degree is a requirement. If you don't have that degree, you're not getting that job. But in some jobs like mine, information technology, it's more based on experience and certifications, like miniature tests versus a degree. And in the long sense, getting a bachelor's degree in IT, most of the time it's just a checkbox for HR to give you a management position. So it's one of those things that it doesn't always help out, especially in my job field, to have a bachelor's degree immediately. Because right now I have bills, I'm gathering the experience and everything else. Now maybe 5-10 years down the line, when I'm more well established, have the experience and have the need to have that bachelor's degree, then it might be worth revisiting.
Definitely. That's really interesting, because I think that it gets overlooked a lot that it's not necessary to get a degree. I think that a lot of people overlook getting certifications or a lot of like tools on their belt rather than getting like this one expensive piece of paper to kind of like be their ticket into getting a job or like getting a career or something. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's one of the things that also depends where you get your degree from.
Yeah.
A lot of problems that I've heard kind of more seasoned veterans in the IT community is that people will go and get these degrees, but they teach only theory and what you might do if something's broken. And then they get put out in the field, they get asked to fix something, and they panic because they've never actually had any hands-on experience before. And so there may be someone that might have a master's degree, but if they were put in my position, they wouldn't be able to perform as well as I can just because I have that experience and have been able to work on that before.
Yeah, exactly. So on paper, to like an HR person, you're not going to look maybe as attractive. But I mean, if put in the situation and you're able to show what you can do, you're going to be able to perform way better than someone who has a piece of paper.
Yeah,
so
and
to speak.
and that's why in the IT field, certifications have more weight than even sometimes a bachelor's degree, is because certifications, it's not, oh, what could you possibly do, is like, it's broken, how do you fix it?
Yeah.
And then you have to prove you know everything about that subject to fix it. And so once you get those certifications, that's kind of more of a piece of paper that shows, hey, I actually know this, than I know about the general subject.
Yeah, exactly. And when you kind of made the transition to kind of stop at the associate's degree, was that a big decision for you to not continue on with the bachelor's degree, or were you pretty confident that you were making a good decision?
I was a little shaky at first, and really the biggest reason is I couldn't find a college right for me. I was working full-time, and it just wasn't feasible to have a part-time gig and then go to school at the same time. And so I was looking for online opportunities, and there was a select few. And then there was a couple I tried, but some ended up being way too expensive, and others ended up being too difficult.
Yeah.
And so just over time, I decided, it's not really right for me. But in the meantime, I can get certifications, I can learn about the subject in general, and that'll make getting a bachelor's degree easy. Because there's always been a stigma that you always have to go from high school straight to college and through college, and when you're done, you're done.
Exactly.
But that's the thing, is the point of getting a bachelor's is to go further into your field.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are never in your field, how are you going to learn about it properly?
Exactly, yeah.
Because now if I were to go get a bachelor's degree, I can sit here and apply what I've learned to what I would like to focus on studying. Mm-hmm. It also helps you find your path, because even when you're getting your associate's degree, you see those people that have been there for 7-8 years because they switch their major like every single semester.
Yeah.
Once you have 2 or 3 years of experience, you're going to know whether you want to do that for the rest of your life. So you may not even want to sit there and pursue a bachelor's degree in that field, because you don't know what that field is like, and you can't get that unless you're actually in the field with that hands-on experience.
Yeah, definitely. Do you feel that you have had any major like walls that you've hit because you didn't go through the whole bachelor's degree thing, like, or do you feel like your certifications and you've got enough kind of on your belt to where you can kind of open any door that you need?
Well, really, I can't say too much yet, just because you need upwards of 5 to 10 years of experience before a bachelor's degree will even make a difference.
Yeah.
Whether I had a bachelor's or what I have now, they're going to pay me the same, relatively.
Yeah.
Especially in the IT field, it's only when you start to get into management positions and things where you're in charge of other people, that's when they start looking for the bachelor's degree. But otherwise, it's really just based on what certifications you have. So far, I've been able to do fine, but eventually I'm going to need to work towards that bachelor's.
So that's definitely a goal that you have, kind of eventually coming back around to it.
Yeah, eventually.
If you need it, I guess, if it ends up.
Yeah, and a great resource I have on that topic is my father, because he has enough hours to get a master's degree, but he never actually finished a degree.
Oh, wow.
And so technically his highest education level is a high school diploma. But he has been working in the IT field so long that he's gone up and up and up, and he's actually pretty substantially known in the IT community here in Lubbock. But the one thing he always told me is that it isn't necessary for him to get where he needs to get without that bachelor's degree. However, there has been a lot of opportunities where they have turned him down, and he has had to walk away because he doesn't have that bachelor's degree. Because whether the IT staff there cares or not about whether you have that bachelor's, as long as HR is looking at that paperwork and those forms they have to fill out, if that checkbox is not checked for a bachelor's degree, then they will not hire you. They won't even put you past the screening process for you to be interviewed.
Oh, sorry.
Because, I mean, there was actually an instance or an example he gave me where the head of the IT at a company wanted to hire him and was like on board already, knew all about him, had known him for a while, and was ready to get him hired. But since he didn't have that bachelor's degree, HR wouldn't even let him have a chance. So,
Damn.
Whenever you were going to college, what'd you get your associate's degree in?
I got my associate's degree in computer information systems, which in English is really 90% IT, 10% business.
Oh, okay. And when you go back, like if and when you go back, like you're going to like pursue the same thing, or do you want to go down a different path?
IT is kind of weird when it comes to degrees. There's never just one set degree path. Every place has kind of their own way, and they mesh all together, and you just kind of have different groups. But in a general sense, that's what I'm going to go for, just IT management in general, or networking and stuff like that. It all kind of bundles together.
Okay, that's cool, man.
Mostly for the piece of paper so you can get past the screenings.
Pretty much.
So you can apply your actual knowledge to the situations.
And like I said, it really depends on what school you go to.
Yeah.
The college I was most recently in, it was just a little too hard for me. It was 100% unstructured. You signed up for a class, you took a pre-assessment, they gave you a grade on the pre-assessment, and they're like, okay, this is what you need to study. Here's all the material, like 3 or 4 books worth of stuff, and they said, you have this test at the end of the class. If you pass it, you pass the class. If you fail the class.
So it's totally all up to you. I mean, like,
all up to you. And I mean, it's hard, even getting up for, the 8 a.m.s, yet alone sitting there having to literally structure out the material for yourself.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't really able to follow that. Gave me too many issues, and that's why I ended up not doing it anymore. But it's one of those things is if you know that material, you can go start that class, and that first test you take, if you know the material, you get a high score, and they'll be like, okay, just go take the test. And you can take the test, and then if you actually really know the material, then you can get a 4-hour college credit course done in a day.
Yeah.
Dang.
And there's actually been a couple of classes where I was able to do that. It was like college algebra, then
Yeah.
it was a little bit about like logic thinking and stuff like that, and stuff I had already known about and studied before. I was able to get those classes done in a couple of days.
That's awesome. It's awesome whenever the system works to your advantage. Those few times, I guess kind of my last question would just be like, what advice would you give to your younger self or to someone in a similar position who doesn't really know whether they want to? I know you said like it kind of depends on your field, so I guess if you could kind of go back and give yourself some advice or at least tell us something to make the decision easier.
Well, it's just one of those things is talk to as many people as possible. I mean, nobody is going to be able to tell you what's going to happen to you. Everything is based on your decisions, where you decide to work, what you decide to study, even just on your day-to-day basis, what you like to do. And it's one of those things, there's no easy answer for something like that. Some people, they don't get a college diploma and they excel in the world. There's some people that literally even in the same fields doing the similar jobs and stuff like that, and they don't get as far. And so really a lot of it is based around what you're willing to do, your work ethic, and just what you try to put forward on a daily basis versus just having a piece of paper.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. It's kind of like what you make of it are your decisions. Are you going to actually put in the effort to do it, or like aren't you?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, because I mean, if you go out into the workplace and you have every little fancy piece of paper in your pocket, but you don't work well with others and you don't produce the results that are asked of you, you are not going to go anywhere, no matter what
Yeah.
piece of paper
That's
you
true.
have. So it's just one of those trade-off things. You got to find a way to balance it, and so that's why I kind of have a good balance. I have something more than a high school diploma, so that way when I knock at the door, they're willing to at least open it a little bit so I
Yeah.
can talk to them. Versus, with a bachelor's, they're more willing to open the door a little bit more, but not necessarily just guarantee an opening for you. And so I feel like I kind of have a good balance towards that, and I feel like I'm sitting comfortably with it.
No, definitely. That's a really good point, and that's a good perspective to have because it is kind of like your own path and what you make of it, and learning to kind of sell yourself and prove that like, no, I do have the experience, and like, not just what I have on paper is like means like that's what I am.
Yeah, man, well, thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it,
definitely.
man.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Devin, a lot.
Thank you for having me.
No,
Yes,
of
sir.
course. We really appreciate your perspective.
And I guess closing thoughts,
Yeah.
I'd say are, no matter what like path you really decide to go on, it's just about what decision you make, and you make the smartest decision for yourself. I mean, only you can choose how your life's gonna go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you can't compare your path to anybody else's. Like just because this works for you, it might not work for somebody else. Or
Yeah, like of course. I mean, like you'll never. I guess like we're all like snowflakes.
yeah,
It's a really horrible analogy, but we all are. Like we're all different. We all have our own
Unique.
unique circumstances that we
Yeah.
all live through.
no, for sure. And some people are gonna choose like their passion over their or going. Some people are gonna choose passion, something that they're passionate about, over like going to college, or vice versa. It just
Yeah.
depends what makes sense for you in your life and like your trajectory and like what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
If that makes sense at all.
Well, thank y'all for listening.
Yes, thank you. This has been Basic and Bitter. Bitter and Basic. This has been Bitter and Basic. Thank you.
We're done.
That was awful.
Thank you for listening. This is Alex.
And Katie?
Follow us on Instagram at Bitter and Basic Podcast and on our YouTube channel.
Subscribe, like, comment, engage.
Thank you.